Want to see something funny?
Seems stuck.
Welcome to my panel. I'm George. This is BakaKon 2020. And this is my panel. Yeah. I didn't want to go too far for DMCA issues. That's most of the budget. From here on, it's mostly just pictures. So I know you guys are gonna think I'm lying when I say it's the best anime ever, but just keep an open mind. I'm gonna give you some straight facts of why it definitely is, and then we can go from there. Jeff, you have a question?
Are you gonna go over what wasn't written in the light novels about the 2 years of Glob?
Why the hell would you ask that? Don't worry about the cabin scene. Keep going with your
We're just gonna.
I'm sorry.
We're just gonna.
Didn't see it.
Don't worry, guys. We're just gonna jump right into the first reason. Okay? Here we go. I lied. There was a second video. Okay, now the videos are done. So the first reason why SAO is the best anime ever is that it has the content. I could have used better English there, but like the text box just didn't fit otherwise. So there's a lot of content for SAO, and this is talking strictly about the actual seasons and the animated content, nothing about the light novels, manga, or anything like that, or the games, heaven forbid. So there's 5 main seasons. We have Sword Art Online, Sword Art Online 2, Sword Art Online Alicization, Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld, and Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld 2nd Season. There are also 3 OVAs. Sword Art Online Extra Edition, Sword Art Online 2 Debriefing, and Sword Art Online, Sword Art Offline, which is just like a chibi thing. Honestly, you can skip that, it doesn't really matter. Then, we also have 1 movie, Sword Art Online Movie Ordinal Scale. And on top of that, we have 1 spin-off, which is Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online. You might look at that and you'll go, wow, that's a lot of great content, but that's a problem. That's a problem with the show, there's too much. I can't just jump in. You know, if I'm starting from ground zero, that's way too much. There's like 150-ish episodes total, something like that. That's a lot to get into. I mean, I haven't even watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because it's got 64 episodes. But that's one of the best parts about SAO. They break it up so much that you don't actually have to watch all of it to get it. So it depends on what you really want to experience. So if you want just the best SAO has to offer, all you really need is from the main seasons, you need Sword Art Online, episodes 1 through 14, Sword Art Online 2, episodes 19 through 22, and then all of Alicization. Alicization, War of Underworld, and War of Underworld 2nd Season, that's 1 linear story, you just need all of it. You can skip the OVAs, you can skip the movie, and you can skip the spin-off. In fact, the spin-off, if you ever actually watch it, will tell you in it, this is not Sword Art Online, okay? So you don't need to worry about that.
What happened to episode 15-18?
Raise your hand.
What are you talking about? You don't need 15 and 18.
What happened?
Forget that. No, episodes 1 to 14 are all you need from season 1, okay? This is the best SAO has to offer. Now, if you're not looking for the best SAO has to offer, you just want the most wholesome content, okay? Then you don't need that much at all. In fact, you only need 1 episode. You just need Sword Art Online, 1st season, episode 7. That's the Warmth of Heart episode, and that's where Best Girl Elizabeth shows up, okay? And that's all you really need. From there, you can pretty much call it done. Eric, question.
I agree with this.
Yes, I know you would. I knew you would. But hey, say wholesome isn't really your thing. Maybe you're a little bit more like me. You really want that risque stuff, you know? You want a little bit more edgy. You can forget Lisbeth, not pertinent, and you can just go straight to the 1st season, episodes 4, 10, 15, 21, and 24. The 2nd season, episode 5, Alicization, episodes 20 to 24, and Alicization War of Underworld 2nd season, episode 13, which technically is episode 1 of the 2nd season, but they continue the numbering scheme from War of Underworld, the 1st season. So it's labeled episode 13, but it's the 1st episode of season 2. You're also going to want, from the OVAs, Sword Art Online Extra Edition. So a lot of anime, if you watch, they'll have a filler beach episode. It's a very common trope. SAO doesn't actually have that in the main season. That's a positive right there. Another reason it's one of the best anime. It just doesn't have that. It's not It doesn't force that on you. It puts it in an OVA, and for all the people who really want that, because it's an OVA, they're gonna go watch that beach episode anyway, right? They stretch it from the normal 23 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes. Okay, you get new content. It also includes kind of a recap of the first season. It's just really a masterful work. And then you're definitely going to want to watch the movie, Sword Art Online movie, Ordinal Scale. You have to watch this. It's pertinent. If you're watching it for this reason, the risque, that little edgier stuff, you have to watch the movie and you have to find it uncensored because that's where we finally get some nipple, okay? That's where that happens. If you don't...
Did that actually happen?
It does. It does happen, okay? 100%. So if that's what you want, you're gonna have to watch the movie. Like that's the only place you're gonna find it other than, I don't know, Reddit r/Rule34 or some unlicensed doujinshi. Who knows? But there's a lot of different ways to watch SAO. And this only covers my favorite ways, I guess I would say. The best ways to watch SAO. You do not have to watch all of it. The content is so, the way they do time breaks, people will say, oh, they jump around in the arcs and that makes it bad because they just don't follow one story. False. It makes it easier to watch. It lets you watch exactly how you want to. It's genius. The second reason why SAO is one of the best anime ever, the best anime ever, is that it has the characters. Now this one, I can't go through all the characters because there are so many.
Just climb.
But we're just gonna work through some. So we'll start with Best Girl Elizabeth. Okay, here she is in her SAO costume. We also have her IRL, and we have her in her ALO costume when she transitions her account. She gets one of the fairy avatars. Best Girl, pretty much undisputed. That's not gonna be, yes.
I agree with this.
I know. Now, for some people, the lesser caliber of man.
But you bought a Leafa figure.
Maybe.
It's Crossfire.
No, don't worry about it. Maybe they don't want a wholesome waifu, they want a little bit of jailbait. Well, for them, I have Silica. This is her in her SAO. Yes.
This is not okay.
No, hey, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying it's there. So Silica IRL, and then she transitions her account into ALO. Yes.
That's a furry.
Yes, it is a furry. See, for the people who are already wrong on one account, they just kind of dive a little deeper, make it a cat girl. Clean. Cover all the bases. You know, take one character, cover it all instead of having to make a ton of small characters. Another reason why it's the best anime ever. They just, look, we get it, you want it, we'll make one character that fits all of it. We're done. Okay? But maybe you're just not into women. Maybe you're into big black men. So here we have Egyo. He has an axe, he owns a merchant shop, he's good at appraising swords and things. He's pretty much just like the go-to guy. Like if you need to know something, he just knows everything. In real life, he's this guy, and he owns a bar. And he still just knows everything about video games for some reason. And then just as the others before, he transitioned his count into ALO after...
exactly the same.
Yeah, he's exactly the same, but a fairy. He still has the cool axe. Super strong, super cool guy. One of the best characters. And then we have your boy Jeff, as you mentioned before. We have Klein.
Thank you.
We have Klein.
I agree with
He's a little bit of a simp, not gonna lie.
That's fine.
But he's just a cool all-around guy. He's like, if you had to move something, okay? So like say you were just like, ah man, I got a big thing, I need to move, but you don't have a truck. It's not confirmed that Klein has a truck, but I can almost guarantee he's the friend you would call. Like he has the truck and he's willing to help. He's just that kind of guy, okay? So moving on from there, then we have main girl herself, we have Asuna. Everyone likes Asuna to some extent, yes.
I don't like Asuna.
I don't like
That's
Asuna.
That's okay, that's okay. She said-
Chase, you like Asuna? That's a no. That's a no.
It's okay. She
I like
has her ups and
Asuna.
downs. She has her ups and downs. I think we can all admit at least that. But that's character development. Another thing that SAO does perfectly.
Are you gonna do it?
So here she is in her SAO costume in real life, and then we have her in her Alfheim costume. Oh, sorry. We have Alfheim. We have her Alfheim character. We get, we'll just Alfheim. And then later in the Alicization arc, she dives in. She dives in under an admin account, actually, and the admin account, of course,
Spoil.
it's okay. It's not much of a spoiler. Alicization has been out for a while. She dives in under an admin account, which is actually the goddess Stadia. So even though she looks exactly the same as she pretty much does in everything else, minus the blue hair, she's actually a goddess in this world. So she's super powerful. She's defending, the world, trying to keep everyone from dying. Then we go to the classic Kirito, Kazuto Kirigaya, the Black Swordsman, more commonly referred to as the Lonely Beater, the dual wielder himself. Okay, main character, such a Chad, the best, the edgiest. It's just, it could not be better done. There's no better main character. There really isn't. Here we have him in his school uniform once he gets out of SAO. And then he transitions his character into ALO, and for some reason he's this giant Buster Sword, and I'm not gonna lie, this is my least favorite costume of his. I just don't think it's very one note. It's kind of not very well executed, but we immediately get better. As soon as we go to season 2, he jumps into Gun Gale Online, right? He transitions his account. He also transitions into a female.
So he transitions.
Yes, he does, and this will not necessarily his best costume, his best form, her best
It's
form.
a trap.
Certainly better than the previous iteration, okay? From there we go into Alicization, where he actually goes back into a school uniform, although this time it's actually for a knight academy that he's attending, becoming a swordsman. Just, gotta get those sword skills. From there, he gets to the end of Alicization and he somehow goes back to his original outfit from SAO, that is, completely iconic of the character. At this point, though, now we finish Alicization, we are into Alicization War of Underworld. We get the best iteration of Kirito that we have yet. This is my favorite. It's the edgiest. It's the most depressed we've seen him. It's really at his lows, It really brings out his character, and of course I'm talking about depressed wheelchair Kirito. This is where he goes from being the dual wielder to the dual wheeler. From there, we get Yui. This is another character from the first season of SAO and continues through. So she's this lost girl that Kirito and Asuna find, just wandering through the woods as one does. They decide to keep her. And here she is in real life. I'll zoom in a little bit. I'll circle that for you. She's actually an AI, so she doesn't really exist in real life, but Kirito, being the robotics expert he is, figuring that out, makes a little shoulder mount camera for her so she can participate in their IRL activities, because Kirito and Asuna are very loving parents. And then she also moves over to ALO with the rest of everyone, comes like a little 4 or 5 inch pixie or whatever, and she's basically a bug in the game, kind of a hiccup in the system, but she's very, very useful. She can pretty much do anything as long as it's computer related. Another character that we find in ALO, we get Leafa, who's actually Kirito's cousin / sister character, but because they're not related completely,
It's fine.
They throw things in there. She's a very interesting character. She actually has 2 of the best plots in the show. Chase is cringing from that joke. From there, though, she also dives into the world of Alicization using an admin account, and she takes over an account of Terraria, another one of the origin goddesses in the world of Alicization. And yeah, it's very similar to her previous costumes, but she pretty much just wrecks things, as one does. We also have Sinon, who we meet in the first half. What?
Nothing.
Okay. Then we meet in the first half of SAO Season 2. Here she is. So this one I'm actually fairly certain is fan art because it's more of like a real life outfit, yet the hair you can see is the same, it's blue. So it's actually an in-game character. I just included it because I thought it was good, and I kind of put it in the brief before I realized it wasn't actually from the show. In real life, she has gray hair and she's a little bit more like this constantly.
With the gun included?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a character point. It's just kind of her thing. Guns are just kind of her thing. From there, once the
That's not a gun.
Gun Gale Online arc kind of ends, she also transitions her account over to ALO. She becomes another furry, another cat girl. This time switches the gun to a bow. Obviously, it's a little bit more medieval. There aren't any guns. And then she also dives into the world of Alicization using an admin account and becomes another one of the goddesses. I actually don't know the name of this one though. So there's that, but she doesn't have exactly the same costume as she did before. She still uses a bow, not pictured here, but her color scheme changed from green to blue for some reason. From there, then we have our best guy, Heathcliff. Again, this is from season 1, just Sword Art Online. Heathcliff is just a really cool guy. Every time he shows up, you're like, dang, wow, he's like super powerful. He's kind of like the character people aspire to be, but actually, he's evil. So you might see up here in the corner, I'll zoom in for you, it says immortal object. You might think, oh wow, he's really surprised because there's an immortal object attacking him. No, you're wrong. It's actually Kirito that's attacking him. And that says immortal object because he is immortal, because he's a cheater, because he's actually this guy. He is Akihiko Kayaba, the creator of SAO. He trapped thousands of people in the game and left them to die.
What?
And he has the coolest reason for doing so ever. Kirito, at the end of SAO, as that world is crumbling down around him, Kirito asked him, he's like, why'd you do it, man? And in such cryptic language, but like so expressive, he's just like, I don't even know anymore. And it's just one of the best scenes. It really
good
is.
reason.
I don't remember asking. From there, we go to the bad guy. Okay, we have the bad girl of Alicization. We actually have Quinella, or Administrator, as she's most commonly referred to in the show. And she's pretty crazy. She tries to kill everyone in the name of saving everyone. She kind of has to kill everyone first. That's a lot of evil plots kind of go. It happens. One of the reasons why, Alicization, if you're going for that more risque watch style, one of the reasons why episodes 20 to 24 are more risque is mostly because of her. When she gets to her like absolute craziest, she forgets clothes exist.
Women tend to do that.
Yeah, right? So there's that. Other very important Alicization character, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid, he kind of grows up. He's a childhood friend of Kirito in that storyline. He also goes to the same Swordsman Academy with Kirito. Becomes really good with this sword. It's like an ice rose dragon sword they find in a lair. It's pretty cool. He becomes an Integrity Knight. Yes.
What is the timeline? How many years does this take place over?
Which one?
Yes.
What? Alicization?
From the start of Aincrad to where it's at Alicization currently.
So from the beginning of Aincrad, so the beginning of episode 1 to Alicization, I'm kind of guessing here, but I think it's between 2 and 3 years. I believe. Yes.
How does he grow up that fast?
How does he grow up that fast?
This dude.
So he's not gonna be honest. So in Alicization, the whole point of Alicization is that they are developing essentially a perfect AI, an AI that's essentially a human. They're developing a human soul, and in the world of Alicization, it's all in a computer. So time is accelerated. So he basically grows the whole, like the entire world of Alicization is like, it's only been around for months, but it's been like years, like hundreds of years inside the world. Okay, so they grow incredibly quickly because of the accelerated timeline. And there's a lot of plot points for that, like why is Kirito stuck in the world of Alicization? He gets attacked and basically it like wounds him, his like nervous system or something like that. So throwing him in the game for that, because it's accelerated time, it'll help him heal faster because that's essentially what the problem is. So that's how he ages so quick in there. He's in an accelerated world in Alicization.
Okay.
So he becomes an Integrity Knight, which typically is a good thing for a swordsman to become an Integrity Knight. But actually, because the Integrity Knights were set up by the Administrator, they are actually used to enforce the policies that she put in place, and she's evil, so the policies are evil. So she essentially brainwashed him into becoming an integrity knight, and he forgot about Kirito and everything. So he ends up fighting Kirito, and obviously, being the black swordsman he is, the lonely beater, he wins him back over, power of friendship and all. You remember me, I know you do. Boom, saves him. They eventually go on to fight the administrator, and they're having trouble fighting him. And one of the only reasons that they can actually defeat the administrator in the end is because Yu-Gi-Oh, in fact, by the power of sheer will, turns himself into this sword. and then he just cuts a giant mech made of swords that are made out of people. So people can become swords, and swords can become a giant monster made out of swords, but this person becomes a sword that's stronger than the monster made out of swords made out of people. But he breaks after helping Kirito defeat the monster, and as far as we know, he is gone for good. As far as we know. Season 2 of War of Underworld is still airing, so who knows? Who knows where that will go? Probably people who read the light novels. Then we have the most important character of Alicization, Alice herself. So Alice, another childhood friend of Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito, when they found the sword, right? So they found the sword that Yu-Gi-Oh was using, that blue ice rose dragon sword. They go a little bit further into this cave they're exploring. And as I said before, Administrator had put up these rules in place that people weren't allowed to break. It was this system that they couldn't override, and any infraction upon that system you'd basically pay with the penalty of your life. So she made an infraction, she crossed the line, and I mean that in the most literal sense. There was literally a line she was not allowed to cross on the ground, and she crossed the line. And for that reason, she was kidnapped by one of the earlier Integrity Knights on a dragon, taken away, where she ends up still growing up. They assume she was just killed because she broke the law. She grows up, becomes an Integrity Knight. Administrator removes her memories and stuff. So she doesn't remember Yu-Gi-Oh, she doesn't remember Kirito. She's just doing her thing. So eventually, she confronts Kirito, and Yu-Gi-Oh is there climbing up the tower to defeat Administrator. And Kirito, again, by the power of friendship, helps her realize that her memories have been erased and she doesn't know the things she should know. And she kind of overrides the system, and when you override the system, your eye explodes. So here she is with an eye patch because her eye exploded because she overcame the system. So she's no longer underneath the rule of the Administrator. From there, she helps Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito defeat the Administrator. And with the Administrator dead, that's when Kirito entered his wheelchair depressed state. She basically just becomes a one-eyed loving housewife for the time being. Essentially, the easiest way to understand her character at this point is just think of like Chase for us right now. That's essentially Alice for Kirito at this point.
Chase Phoebe.
He's our one-eyed housewife. And that's just some of the characters in SAO and how they're all extremely important, and there's so many and they're so essential to the plot all the time.
Name another one.
It's just perfect. I would, but I don't have pictures. So we're just gonna move on to the next slide, okay? The third reason is that SAO has the story. As I mentioned, this kind of leans into the sheer amount of content, but it also just has a lot of different arcs, okay? Sword Art Online has the Ironclad and Fairy Dance arc. Second season has Phantom Bullet, Caliber, and Mother's Rosario. Then you have the Ordinal Scale movie, which is its own arc. Alicization has Alicization Beginning, Running, Turning, Rising, Dividing, Uniting. War of Underworld covers Invading, Exploding, and Awakening. And then War of Underworld second season continues Awakening, and then is expected to include Lasting and Unital Ring. Those last two, we aren't necessarily completely sure yet. As I said, the second season of War of Underworld is still airing, but we expect it to wrap up, and that would include having these two arcs. So there's just a lot of different stories, and each of these has their own sub arcs within, and some of them are animated, some of them that were a little less important have been left out, and you would have to read the manga or the light novels or play the games to get the full picture. But there's just a ton of different story elements that really dive into the character's history, their past, their present, their future. It's just really, really good character development. The fourth reason that SAO is the best anime ever is that it has the music. SAO has some of the best music you'll ever hear, period. Not just anime, just ever in general in your life. Forget Bach, Beethoven, Lady Gaga, I don't know. Just forget it. You don't need it. You just need what SAO has, okay? Obviously, the first choice, Crossing Field by Leafa. You have Ignite by Aoi and Courage by Haruka Tomatsu. Just to name 3, okay? I would play these, but that would definitely be copyrighted, and also I didn't want to just like throw like 9 minutes of content into this where I'm not actually saying anything. There's a lot more good music than this. These are just like the 3 that probably most people would agree are some of the best songs from the show. So I highly recommend taking a listen to these at some point, but just wanted to draw a point that this is some of the best music in anything ever. SAO has it. Another reason it's so perfect. It's just so perfect of an anime. So there are just a plethora of other reasons why SAO would be the best anime ever. And these are some of the main ones. I told you we have, it's got the content, it's got the characters, it's got the story, it's got the music. But in conclusion, it's just the fact that SAO is the best anime is the reason that it is the best anime. It's its own cause and effect, really. You know what I mean? So if there are no other questions, I'm just gonna say thanks for listening. Yes, Eric.
How much of the story gets resolved by Deus Ex?
Deus Ex.
Yes.
As far as I know, Deus Ex doesn't come into any of these stories. That's a different video game series entirely. Yes, Aaron.
I got tired of watching Kirito in his chair grunting for swords, so I
Okay.
stopped watching. Should I watch again?
You should definitely watch. Alicization is probably one of the best arcs. I would say wait until the second season of War of Underworld finishes, because if that's your problem with it, just wait until it finishes and then you should be able to run through it. I would say the grunting in the wheelchair is great character development. I think you're viewing it through the wrong lens. I think if you're trying to go into that thinking that Kirito would remain the main character as he did in previous seasons, you're thinking about it wrong. I would look at that and say, oh, Sword Art Online Alicization, maybe it has this other character Alice's name in it for a reason. Maybe it's because she's really the main focus, and I would think about more of that.
Don't tell me other thing.
I think viewing it correctly makes it better. Any other? Yes, Chase.
So as Sword Art Online being the greatest anime ever, as said by your panel
best
right up
anime
here.
ever.
Yeah, best anime ever, right up there. I was wondering if you could go into a little bit of the detail for the ordinal scale movie working reference material that is in the beginning of the movie, being related to the best anime ever. What are your opinions on that?
I honestly don't know exactly what you're trying to ask.
The Wagnaria reference at the beginning of the movie when they're in the cafe.
I'm still very. I don't know what you're referring to.
Do you know what the anime working is?
The anime working. Oh yes. What about it?
The reference to it in
Do I know the
the best anime ever movie ordinal scale.
Again, I don't know what you're asking.
Oh, I was wondering if you could, go into detail on like how you think, because it's connected to the greatest anime ever, how like working influences and helps promote that show as well.
Promote SAO or promote working?
No, promote working.
How SAO promotes working?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it being the best show ever and then drawing attention to a smaller, lesser known show would bring it to light. I think a lot of people would dive into the Wagnaria working series because SAO, the greatest anime ever, was like, hey, here's a thing you should know about,
Yeah.
Aaron,
Cool.
yes.
What's your opinion about people saying that My Hero Academia is better than SAO?
I don't think anyone's ever said that.
They do.
Jeff.
If SAO is the best anime ever, why hasn't Electronic Arts bought them yet?
Electronic Arts doesn't have enough money, actually. Next question. Aaron.
What's your opinion about people saying Demon Slayer is better than SAO?
I don't think anyone said that.
Oh, they are.
Who?
Oh, I mean.
Okay. If there's no other questions, yes,
How
Aaron.
do you feel about SAO's cousin story, So World?
I have not personally watched Excel World, so I don't really have any. Yes, Jason.
How do you feel about SAO's other cousin story, Log Horizon?
I enjoyed Log Horizon until the second season when they changed the studio, and it kind of just like ended on a cliffhanger that's never going to get
Wait, they're
resolved.
cousins?
They're not related, really, but.
How do you feel about the story arcs within SAO about cousins loving each other?
Well, I think as long as the law says there's nothing wrong about it, that should really be the final judgment on our worldview, you know? I don't think there's any objective reason why that's wrong. I think as long as society deems something okay...
She's hot.
No, I'm just kidding. Personally, I do not think that cousins should be...
Would that detract from SAO not being the greatest or best anime ever?
Well, no. See, nothing ever actually happens. And that's perfectly fine.
Officer,
Next
that's it,
question.
right there.
Yes, Joe.
Can you explain how SAO is the best anime ever when they normalize tentacle hentai rape?
I wouldn't say they normalize it. I would say every time it's occurred in the show, it's been deeply frowned upon in general. It's usually depicted as a bad thing. Now, if they had decided to show it as something positive, for example, that happens roughly 3 times. So there was, well, I can't. I'd go backwards to the page where I have the episode listed out, but then I would have to click back through 52 photos I had on that one slide, and I'm just not about to do that. So there's the episode with Silica where she's being attacked by that plant monster. That's really light. Honestly, I think if you point to that as being one of the 3, like even drawing attention to that fact, I think just first of all, it degrades, I think, from your point in general. The second time with Asuna, it's not really that rapey. It just happens that they designed the scientists in the game to be tentacle monsters because it gives them more limbs and appendages to do their computer work with. And that kind of comes off as weird. They do say things that are creepy about it, yes. But again, they're established as villains and people who are not to be liked. And I think that's okay. And then the most recent application is actually, it happens as soon as Sugaha, Leafa, her character transitions. She dives into the world of Alicization using the admin account as the goddess Terraria. As soon as she comes into the game, one of the leaders of the Demon King army attacks her and basically sucks mana out of her.
Is it mana? Do they call it mana in canon?
I can't recall specifically if they call it mana, but it is a life magic force. I believe they do call it mana,
From
but I'm
what?
not 100% sure. From her. And that one, again, a lot of people look at that and they're like, this is a problem. I'm like, yes, but you do realize it's the villain doing this bad thing. You're supposed to understand that this is not okay. It's the villain doing it. Anything the villain does here, you're not going to agree with. One sec. Eric, you had your hand up?
How do you deal with the fact that all the villains have 0 good reason to be villains?
So they could be seen as being good guys, or people we might want to like and empathize with.
I think that depends on how you view their views, and that's totally personal. I think the reasons are established more than enough. I think especially when you get to Alicization, the villains in that, Quinella, the administrator, that is much more expounded upon than the earlier seasons. So I will admit the earlier seasons do have a little bit of fault there. But Alicization is a very, very good linear story. So anyone who has a problem with the earlier first 2 seasons, they're like, it jumps all over the place, and the characters they're not fleshed out enough, and the villains don't have good reasons for doing their villain things. Alicization flips the table. It's got a linear character development. Things follow reason. There's no time skips other than the time skip that is central to the story. So story-wise, it's still linear, even though there's a time skip in it. That gets doled out. The villains have, I believe, very good reasons for why they're doing the things they're doing. Yes, Jeff.
Can you talk about the bravery of the author about Kirito transitioning from a man to a female, and then the bravery of transitioning back from a female to a male, and how that has impacted our community today.
I would not want to draw the parallels between something fictional to something.
Are you
real
saying
life.
transitioning isn't true?
No, I just wouldn't want to draw.
He's saying this
irrational-
community isn't true.
I just wouldn't want to draw an irrational
right there.
likening between something that's fake and something that's very real. I wouldn't want to personally throw anyone in a bubble like that. I don't think that fiction at any point should be necessarily a gauge of reality. Any other questions?
How do you spell gauge?
Depends. What type of gauge do you want to spell?
All of them.
I'm gonna go with G-A-U-G-E. Or is it G-U-A-G-E?
It's G-A-Y.
I don't think
G-E.
so. But then there's also G-A-G. But I don't think that's for
You
anything.
thought this was a dumb question, but now you're questioning yourself, idiot.
I think it's G-A-U-G-E.
Yeah, it is.
Idiot.
Alright, well thank you for listening. That's all.
I hated it. It was a lie.
Yes, Eric.
Just because he pandered to me, I don't like it.
Oh, I didn't pander to you. I believe that. Elizabeth is the best girl. Yes,
I agree with the statement.
I know. Jeff.
I don't agree with this statement.
Aaron.
Leafa's best girl.
I don't want to agree with Aaron.
Eric will remember this.
Okay. And with that, yeah, Jeff.
We haven't heard Chase's opinion on the matter yet.
Chase, best girl.
Klein.
Yeah, I agree with
I
this.
agree with this.
I agree.
Okay. We agree. Klein, best girl. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Who's best boy then?
We'll be back. We'll be back with you with more BakaKon 2020 BakaTaka content. Bye.